The 2022 endurance racing schedule is well underway in iRacing. I'm Matt Malone, and I'm going to share with you 5 hot tips for endurance racing. Let's go. And just a heads up, at the time of filming this video, the next big endurance race is the Sebring 12-hour race. That's the next one coming up, and that's at the end of March, just so you know. All right, tip number 1 for endurance racing is your mentality.
Wow.
Going into these races, these are really long races, 12 hours, 24 hours, 10 hours. It's much different than any run-of-the-mill 30-minute race that you sign up for, right? So you have to understand that. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine like you gotta run some errands. So you jump in the car, you gas it up, you maybe just put on the FM radio, you just run uptown, maybe you're rolling through stop signs, speeding a little bit, you just run your errands and you're done, right? But imagine you're going on like a weekend trip with the family, and maybe it's a 3 or 4 hour drive. You make sure you got fuel in the car, make sure you had an oil change, you make sure you got some snacks and some treats in the car. You get your seat set up just right, you got your seatbelt on, maybe you download your favorite podcast, or you get a playlist going on, you got the radio set, you got this, maybe you reset the odometer, everything's set, you're comfortable. Also, your preparation for the race is extremely important. The more that you prepare for these big endurance races, the less anxious and nervous that you're going to be for the race. And for the most part, a lot of the people that are in these races are in that same type of mentality. You kind of see this at a smaller level with ESS, a 1 hour race, compared to, like, let's say a Ferrari fixed, a real short race. The longer endurance races, people tend to be a little bit slower at the start, give a little bit extra room, hold their line, easy on the braking, and stuff like that. And then you get like Ferrari fixed, where everyone's like, let's go, let's do this. All right, tip number 2, your setup. Now, when you're loading up a setup, finding a setup for a normal short race, you want it to be kind of aggressive. You want to go as fast as you possibly can. You don't really care too much about burning up the tires. But for endurance racing, it's completely different. You want a nice, stable setup that fits your driving style pretty well, that's not going to burn up your tires. Don't want to really be like on edge the entire time, where one little miscue could send you flying off into the track. Yes, those alien setups are out there, and yes, they'll get you the fastest lap that you can possibly get, but that's not going to serve you really well when you're doing a 1, 2, 3, 4 hour stints in the car. You need something nice and easy, something that you can really get into a groove and get into a rhythm with. If that involves adding 1 click of wing, if it involves straightening the tires out so much so you're not just completely destroying your tires, that's going to help, because most of these endurance races, as it's been going the last couple years, you need to be double stinting tires. What does that mean? Well, you're going to be racing 2 full fuel tanks on the same tire. You need to take care of those tires, and the setup can kind of help you vice versa. It's a scratch my back, scratch your back kind of an issue here. I've even heard rumors of people quad stinting tires. That's crazy. All right, guys, tip number 3 for endurance racing is the actual driving. First of all, you need to narrow the track in your mind. Don't be putting your tires right on that white line every time you're into a hard braking point. Yes, it's great for hot lapping, but we are in it for the long haul, right? We need to finish these races, these 12-hour, 24-hour races. You actually do need to finish these races to do well, right? Well, if you touch 1 blade of grass because you're trying to pick up just a couple of tenths on some of these corners, and you're really cheating to the outside of the track, and you got your tire right on the edge of that track to maximize your speed through corners, it's just not worth it. Because like I said, you hit 1 blade of grass in iRacing, you're donezo. You're into the wall, your teammates are yelling at you, they're complaining, we got 30 minutes, 20 minutes of damage. It's not going to be any good for you. So you need to narrow up that track in your mind. Stay off the very edges, right? Your braking points, make sure you're extending your braking points by a little bit, so every time you're in a braking point, you're not full on maxed out on the brakes. That can uneven the car. It's hard on your tires, so you just need to be going real easy into your braking points. Make your turns. You need to be really smooth, and remember to leave much bigger gaps from the cars in front of you. You don't want to be right on the bumper of somebody testing that net code. You want to give a little bit of extra room. Also, if you do get a run on somebody, and you don't know what to do with it, and you haven't planned ahead, and you just like run right into the back of them and then having to hit your brakes, this can cause a massive accordion effect, especially early on in the race. Getting off throttle just a little bit so you're not just coming right up to the back of somebody, because that's going to put pressure on them. They may make a mistake, cause a huge wreck. I can't tell you how many times I see people try to make some crazy bold move just because they had a real good run on somebody that ended in disaster. Maybe somebody was testing the net code a little bit too much and boom, it's over for them. So just give extra space, be smooth, narrow the track, you'll do fine. All right, guys, tip number 4 for endurance racing. This is the preparation that you do for a couple days before, and it involves stretching. Now, let's everybody do the stretch with me. This is what they call a deep vein thrombosis full body squat. Oh yeah, there it is. You gotta really get the blood flowing. Really get the blood flowing. Did you know that your calf muscle is basically like a blood pump? So you can do it manually. Just get down in there, start pumping that calf muscle. You really accentuate the blood flow within your entire body. Also, if you're gonna be doing like really long, some guys do the 24-hour Daytona all by themselves. This is what you're gonna have to do. Just like a marathon runner, you're gonna have to start carbing up about 2 to 3 days before this sucker, you know? Get all the pasta and the pizza and the cinnamon rolls you can get. All right, guys, to finish this out, I got tip number 5 for you, your seating position. Remember, you're gonna be sitting in this chair for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. You need to make sure that you get in your seat and it's nice and comfortable. Your ass isn't gonna go numb within the first 20 minutes. This is very important. So make sure you've done long stints in the seating position that you have set up. Make sure that everything's comfortable. Make sure that the steering wheel is at the proper spacing. Make sure your pedals are where you need them. You know, whatever's gonna work for you. I tend to like to have a lot of support in my thighs. It's very important. I like to be at a nice, comfortable position. Your posture is very important. You don't want to be all hunched over the entire race. You don't want to be like leaning back the entire race. You got to be in a nice position, and it's different for everyone. You got to find out what works for you. You're going to be comfortable in the chair for a very extended period of time. So make sure you double check that if you've noticed maybe some of the longer sessions you've had in iRacing, you know, things start to hurt, maybe your heel or your knees or your hips or your thighs. Get as old as I am, everything just starts hurting all at once. Oh, ow! Dial that in. Maybe lower your seat, heighten your seat. Get the better posture, move your pedals back and forth, make sure your wheel's perfect. So you gotta really dial that stuff in weeks ahead. You know, the last thing you want is a real bad case of the deep vein thrombosis to be kicking in at about hour 2. You're gonna have some major issues. Once again, your teammates aren't gonna be happy with you. Get that dialed in. That should be all part of your preparation for this. All right, guys, those are my 5 hot pro tips for endurance racing. I'm not sure if any of those were actually legitimate. I don't know what kind of video I just made, but let me know down in the comments below. Comment down below whether or not you're going to be implementing any of these tips into your next endurance race. And if there's any tips that I missed, let me know down below how you are preparing for your next endurance race. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. We got to get this boosted because we all know we've been in endurance races where some of these guys in these races need these tips like pronto. So let's spread the word. Help me out a little bit. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. And don't forget, mattmalonetv.com.